Okay, let's dive in. What if some of the really deep scientific principles we talk about today, you know, energy, mass, how they change, what if ancient cultures kind of got them intuitively?
Yeah, not through equations, right, but maybe through symbols they saw in nature.
Exactly. Like maybe even in the letters we use every day. That's a pretty wild thought to start with.
It really is. And, well, that's the core idea in the source material we're looking at today. It comes from excerpts of something called the Elemental Code of SCI.
S, C, and I. Okay.
And it proposes this really fascinating connection between just those three letters, ancient ideas about elements, flame, water, soil, and, believe it or not, modern science, physics, chemistry, biology.
Wow. And it doesn't stop there, right? The source even connects it to Einstein. EMC-ESIA.
It does. Symbolically, mind you. The idea presented is that maybe there's this kind of natural language where big truths about energy and matter were understood just by observing the world, the shapes, the patterns.
Okay, so our mission here for this deep dive is to unpack that code, right? Using only what's in this source material.
Precisely. We want to pull out the key insights and see how this material tries to build a bridge between that ancient sort of wisdom and our modern scientific frameworks.
And this is really for you, the listener, if you're looking for those, unexpected connections, those moments where things just click in a different way.
Yeah, we'll guide you through the core concepts from the source, step by step. It offers a perspective on energy, matter, transformation that, well, it might just make you see things a little differently.
Cool. So where do we start? The letters themselves? S, C, I.
Let's start there. The source argues they're way more than just marks on a page. They're described as symbols, almost like icons, encoding how energy transforms. And it's based on symbolism ancient people would have intuitively recognized from nature.
So the shape matters, the sound.
Absolutely. It starts with S, linked powerfully to flame.
Okay, I can sort of see that. The S shape. It does kind of flicker, like a flame. Or even like a snake, moving. Serpentine, it feels like energy, motion.
And that's exactly the point made. Flame is dynamic energy in this system. It consumes things, it transforms them, it radiates heat and light. It's always moving, always changing.
The source mentions the sound too, doesn't it? The S's sound.
It does, that hissing sound, like fire or, a snake or just movement. It suggests activity, maybe even a warning, but critically, transformation.
And fire symbolism is huge in ancient cultures, right? Purification, destruction, but also renewal, new beginnings.
Exactly. Sacred fire initiation rites. So S in this code is basically positioned as this universal symbol of raw energy, pure energy in motion, active.
Okay, S is flame, dynamic energy. What's next? C.
C is next, and the source links C strongly with water.
Water. Okay, the shape.
Hmm.
C is curved, it's open like a wave, or something holding water, like a cup.
Right. It reflects that natural flow, the way water moves and behaves.
And water's key property here is what? Being formless.
Formlessness, adaptability. It takes the shape of its container, it flows, it changes state so easily, liquid, solid, ice, gas, vapor. It's the ultimate adapter.
And the sound of C.
Interesting point in the source. It can be soft, like C, suggesting flow, or it can be hard, like cut. So it's fluid, but it also has the power to change things, to make an impact.
Symbolically, water means life, cleansing, change. You see it in rituals everywhere. Baptism, purification baths, healing waters.
All about transformation. So C in this system becomes the symbol for potential energy. Energy that's fluid, adaptable, ready to change, always in transition.
Makes sense. S is active energy. C is fluid potential. That leaves I.
And I is linked to soil.
Soil. Okay, visually, I is totally different. Just a straight line, vertical, upright.
Solid, rooted. The source compares it to a seed sprouting or just something standing firm. Structure, groundedness.
Soil is literally our foundation, isn't it? What holds us up, where life takes root.
And symbolically, it's deeply tied to life, death, rebirth. We come from the earth, we return to it, it holds memory, it represents stability, mass. It's where cycles of decay and regeneration happen.
So I represents mass, the solid stuff,
Yeah.
the container for energy.
Exactly. The grounded, still container of energy and potential.
Yep.
Structure, form, mass.
Okay, this is cool. S is flame energy. C, water flow potential. I, soil, my structure. And now the source connects this ancient feeling symbolism to E, I'm in C, how?
Well, the suggestion isn't that ancient cultures knew the math, obviously, but that they might have sort of experienced the principle behind it, symbolically, through watching nature.
And they mapped it onto these elements.
That's the idea presented. Look,
Yeah.
S, the fire, the dynamic energy, that maps pretty directly onto E, right? Energy, active, kinetic.
Okay. And C, water. How does that fit? EMC?
C represents the flow, the medium of change. The course links it to the speed aspect, the C quater. Think of light speed as the ultimate flow, the medium for that energy-mass conversion. Water facilitates chemical reactions, change. C is that facilitator, that flow.
Right, the transition state.
Yeah.
And I, soil.
That lines with mass,
Yeah.
the grounded substance, stillness, the form that energy takes when it's, let's say, condensed.
Huh. So S, C, I, E, C, I, S, M. The source says these three symbols together mirror the transformation in Einstein's equation.
It argues they form a kind of transformation triangle. Mass can become energy S, but it happens through that flow or speed. See, like burning wood mass becomes energy via the fiery flow.
Or decay, right. Mass breaking down, releasing energy through processes.
Exactly. And the other way, too. Energy S can condense back into mass, again, through that transition states.
Yeah.
Think of water vapor cooling and condensing, or freezing into solid ice, energy becoming form.
And see, the water element is always that middle part, the fluid medium enabling the change.
It's presented that way, the adaptable medium. And the source gives very concrete, natural examples to make this less abstract.
Like what?
Like fire ash creating smoke.
Yeah.
C flow transition, which settles as ash.
Yeah.
I mass, energy offlow, Nash and mass.
Or the water cycle itself. Liquid water C freezes to ice, I mass, melts back to water C, evaporates into vapor, S energy.
Perfect example. Flow hand, solid flow hand energy. Or even life itself. Growth, build mass, I, then death, a transformation process, C, then decay back into the soil, enabling rebirth, mass breaking down and reforming I.
It's like seeing Eam Sihar played out in nature, but through these elemental symbols.
That's the perspective offered, yes. A symbolic understanding of a fundamental physical law.
Okay, but then the source adds another layer, doesn't it? It refines this mapping.
It does. It moves from the direct Eam-Sihar analogy to linking S, C, and I to the foundational sciences themselves.
Ah, okay. Physics, chemistry, biology.
Exactly. This feels like connecting the dots even more clearly between the ancient symbolic view and how we structure scientific knowledge today.
So how does that mapping work?
S, the flame representing pure energy, motion, transformation. That's mapped directly to physics. Physics deals with the fundamental forces, energy, motion, waves. It's all about dynamic change.
And the S shape itself, like a wave or flicker, visually echoes physics concepts.
Right. Then C, the water, representing the reactive medium, flow, change, adaptability that's mapped to chemistry.
Because chemistry is all about reactions. Things mixing, dissolving, bonding, transforming.
Precisely. Water is the universal solvent, crucial for so many chemical reactions, especially life chemistry. C represents that capacity for reaction, for conversion between states and substances.
Okay, it makes sense. S physics, C chemistry, so I must be.
Biology. I, the soil, representing structure, groundedness, growth, mass. It maps to biology, the science of life and living systems.
Because life needs structure, like plants growing from the soil.
Exactly. The source even points to the vertical I shape, symbolizing things like trees, the spine, even the structure of DNA. Soil is where biological life literally begins, gets its structure, and eventually returns. It embodies the cycles of birth, growth, decay studied in biology.
And the source argues this S physics, C chemistry, I biology mapping is more logical somehow.
Well, it gives each element letter a very clear functional role within the sciences we know. S is the energy and motion, physics. C is the reaction and conversion, chemistry. I is the structure and life, biology.
It also shows how the sciences depend on each other, doesn't it? Physics underlies chemistry, which enables biology.
Yes, it mirrors that natural hierarchy. And the source highlights this as a kind of bonus insight. The order SCI reflects the progression of complexity. Fundamental physical laws, S, leading to chemical interactions, C, allowing for emergent complex life.
It feels like it's grounding the symbolic language, bridging that ancient intuition with modern scientific thought and even how we cognitively organize things.
That seems to be the goal. And there's one more level, the deepest insight according to the source, the real unifier.
Okay, what is it?
It brings it all together with a single, incredibly powerful ancient symbol, the snake.
The snake, how does that fit in?
This is presented as the culmination. The source suggests S, C, and I aren't really separate things at all. They're just three shapes of the same snake. Meaning they all represent the same fundamental thing, that primordial energy of the universe. The snake symbolizes energy that is constantly changing form, slithering through different states, but is never lost, never destroyed.
Ah, like the law of conservation of energy. Energy isn't created or destroyed, it just changes form.
Exactly. Flow, change, continuity. That's the snake. And each letter embodies a different posture, a different shape of this energy snake.
Okay, break that down. S.
S is the snake coiled and moving, like fire, flickering motion, heat, waves. That's the energy of physics, active, dynamic.
E.
C is the snake, curved and fluid, like water, bending, merging, flowing, changing states easily. That's the transformative energy of chemistry,
Yeah.
adaptable, reactive.
And I.
I is the snake straight and still, or maybe vertical and growing, like soil or a plant rooted in it, representing formed energy, stable structure, stored potential, the basis of biology.
Wow, so they're all just different phases of the same underlying energy flow.
That's the core message. And the source brings in classic snake symbolism to reinforce this.
Like the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail.
Yes, the symbol of the infinite cycle, energy constantly recycling. Also, the snake shedding its skin, the perfect symbol of transformation and renewal.
And the way snakes move, that slithering, it's like a wave, isn't it?
Exactly, a visual representation of wave-like energy motion. The source connects this to light waves, sound waves, even the DNA double helix, electromagnetic fields. It's a universal pattern of energy movement.
So S, C, and I are literally presented as snapshots of this one cosmic energy serpent in its different modes. S is moving, C is transforming, I is structured or stored. But it's all the same snake.
All obeying that fundamental law of continuity of conservation. The source actually calls this whole system the trivium of energy.
Trivium, like the old model of grammar, logic, rhetoric, but for energy.
Kind of. It's presented as more than just a clever mapping. It's suggesting a living logic embedded in nature itself. A visual, maybe even phonetic, symbolic code for science. It points toward the deep linguistic and energetic unity between how ancient peoples perceive the world and what modern physics tells us.
Does it connect this to any specific ancient traditions?
It does mention Zoroastrianism, highlighting the importance of soil, flame, and water in that very ancient religion. The implications that this core idea, energy transforming but never being extinguished, might have been understood symbolically long, long before EMZ was written down.
SC, I as the three different shapes of Snape revealing this basic rule in science. That's a powerful image.
It really is. It attempts to show how deep this intuitive, symbolic understanding might actually go back.
Okay, let's try and pull this all together then. We went on quite a journey in this deep dive into the SCI code from the source material.
We did. We started with the basics, how these letters were presented as symbols for flame, S, water, C, and soil, representing dynamic energy, fluid potential, and grounded mass.
Then we saw that really intriguing link the source makes to EMC-FEO, not mathematically, but symbolically, how S maps to energy E, C to speed flow, CFEO, and I to mass M, seeing that transformation played out in natural cycles.
We layered onto that the refined mapping, S to physics, C to chemistry, I to biology, showing how the letters, in this view, also encode the foundational sciences and how they relate to each other in terms of function and complexity.
And finally, we reach what seems to be the core unifying idea from the source. The snake. Realizing that S, C, and I aren't separate categories, but are described as different shapes, different moments, different snapshots of one continuous underlying serpent of energy that flows through everything, always changing, never lost.
Yeah, that's the ultimate takeaway presented.
So the final thought this source material leaves you with, the listener, is pretty profound.
It really asks you to reconsider these fundamental categories. SC and I aren't truly separate. They're just different appearances of that single continuous energy snake.
And maybe physics, chemistry, and biology aren't entirely separate disciplines either, but just different lenses, different ways we humans have developed to look at that same snake, trying to understand its different forms and movements.
Exactly. It invites you to see the world, maybe even the alphabet itself, through this lens of interconnectedness, to look for this natural language of transformation all around you.
Something to definitely mull over next time you watch a fire, see water flowing, or just stand on the solid ground. A different way to perceive the energy that shapes everything.